Alright guys, if you were out with me this morning on my videos, you saw I was out on my Africa Twin, which is right there, and I have the great fortune to be able to have a Suzuki V-Strom DL1000, and well, if you looked at my videos, you know that I did about 30 videos on servicing this bike, and what a sweet bike it is. So if you've never ridden a V-Strom, you have missed a load of fun. This bike has a lot of get up and go, and I like my Africa Twin, but I tell you what, I think the V-Strom will might outrun it. The 1000cc bike, Africa Twin is 1100, but this thing is built to move. And I picked this up from an elderly gentleman, older than me, had 17,000 miles on it. He says he never took it off-road. I wasn't riding it, had it in his garage, and along came me. I rode it about 200 miles home, and part of that was in the rain. So, not my choice, but it rode smooth. And I asked him to be sure and check the tire pressure and all before we left, and ran very well. But I came home, put it on the bench, and some 30 videos later, it has a complete service job. And I did do a valve clearance check. I did have to change a shim. I did flush the coolant. I did flush the oil, filter. The brakes were kind of mushy, the brakes in the clutch, so I flushed all that fluid out. Made a big difference. And while I was down there, I put me some nipple extensions on for the throttle body, set the RPM at 1200 per the service manual, and I did balance those throttle bodies. They were off just a smidgen, but let me tell you, if you're looking for a bike, this is a nice bike. The thing is, this bike likes to move, and it has an overdrive on it. But gosh, you don't need overdrive to you 75-80 miles an hour, so I'd say in that regard it has that second ump to it. And really a great riding bike. I feel like I'm in total control of the bike. It's light, easy to move around, easy to maneuver. It just runs extremely well. I love the riding position. It certainly puts you in a position where it's comfortable to ride, and I like that. And I like just the fact that I feel like it's so easy to turn and maneuver. Now, that Africa Twin certainly has more ground clearance. If you're planning to do off-road, I wouldn't be afraid to take this bike off-road, tire-wise and all. But the Africa Twin just has more clearance. It's got a 21-inch wheel on the front end of that Africa Twin. And the new Africa Twins, like mine, 21, has a lot of electronic features. One of the complaints that people talk about is it's just overcomplicated. But this has your standard features of a bike, but you know, I don't know how much all that extra electronic stuff means to me. I'm out for the ride and the fun. They say the brakes are greatly improved since I flushed the fluid on this bike. The brake pads were good. I got down and took a close look at them. You gotta spend a couple of dollars and buy you some .4 brake fluid. And get out there every year and flush out that fluid. I mean, you need brakes on these bikes. And the brakes were mushy. And I took all that old fluid out and put new fresh fluid in, and I deglazed the rotors, and it made a big difference in the braking. Now, I've got a set of brake pads at some point I can add to the bike, but it doesn't need it now. There's plenty of pad there. So I'll worry about that later. I'm cruising here. I mean, good gracious, I'm 70, 75. I'm not even in overdrive. Put some new mirrors on the bike today too. Dressed it up, more sporty look. The bike cosmetically was in great condition. The only issue really was the gentleman that owned it was shorter, and said when you get on and off, he kind of scuff up the bags. This has the Givy crash bars, and I'm 6'1" plus. Now it's easier to mount and demount this bike than the Africa Twin. I mean, the Africa Twin is a taller bike, but that's probably why this bike feels, I don't know, like it's easier to control. Maybe because it's a little shorter riding bike. I think the 650 on these is the biggest seller probably. But wow, this 1000 has a lot of power. So if the 650 is anything like this, man, what could you need more? I see a raindrop on my helmet, guys, so we're going to be heading home, get to the homestead. I run 36 and 41 for tire pressures on these bikes, and that's what I've got this set at. And with the plug changes, I think the gap on that was 24 to 28 thousandths. And so I set that with the feeler gauge, and we got some dogs running the road here. So come on, guys, clear the roadway, guys. Oh boy. Oh well, a little entertainment there. Anyway, so we're in Ridgely, Tennessee, and we're just cruising. I gotta be careful. This bike will get up out from under you real quick, and I'll have blue lights behind me. So you won't have a problem with power on these bikes. I set the gap at on the spark plugs, and on the 4 to 8 on the intake, and I think it was 8 to 12 thousandths on the exhaust. I checked all those. I was middle of the road on all of them except one. One was tight, very tight. I had to go 2 sizes down, bring it in line. I tested it afterwards and tested out fine. And I reused my gaskets and all. I did use some 3-bond, and I did go ahead and do that fuel filter modification and put an external fuel filter on here, and hey, it's working perfectly. I'll give you a peace of mind now. It's a lot easier just to change that external fuel filter than to take the whole fuel pump out and change that. But anyway, I did do that too. I put a new fuel filter internal too while I was there. I guess it's getting multiple filtrations now, but and I think our gas is pretty good. But if you're thinking about an adventure type bike, and you're on the line between V-Strom or maybe an Africa Twin, I mean, it probably comes down to price and what features you really need. But heck, you know, if you pick you up even a used V-Strom, it's been pretty well serviced. I don't have any doubt this bike will last a long time. You service it. Most all these bikes anymore in the Honda, Suzuki, Yamaha line, I mean, they've been doing it a long time. And if you learn some basic service skills, you keep your bike in top shape. You won't have an issue. So we're in Obion County, folks, and so we're gonna head to the homestead before the rain drops out on top of me. It's kind of dark out here, but boy, it feels great temperature wise. I wish you had this temperature all the time. Just keep the rain. And here's these brakes, how well they're working now. Yeah, see, they'll bring me down, no problem. And the bike idles perfectly now. Whoops, let me shift down. That's one thing about it. This thing, it wants to be in the right gear, and it wants to haul butt, like I said. Anyway, I got a little over 17,497 miles on here now. And now with that complete service job, boy, this bike is ready to roll. And just needs to be ready. So we're going to roll up to the homestead. What a pleasure to ride. This bike kind of makes you want to ride. So passing through, there's the horses. There's the folks out and about. We're going to make the corner here. Good thing I got my grass cut yesterday. Of course, with the rain, I'll have to get out there and do it again. I'd much rather be riding than cutting grass, so hopefully you've been out riding, having a good time. Thanks for watching the videos, coming around and visiting. Have a lot of fun working on these bikes, and then especially when you pull them off the bench and you're ready to ride. Well, here we go, folks. We'll pull into the homestead. See, everything is just easy to maneuver. And we're going to take it on into the garage, set her beside her twin, and put her on her battery charge, and get ready for the next ride, folks. I'm glad you rode along with me. Y'all stay safe out there.